To start tracking, you first go to the New View on the File menu, or the New View icon, and pick an image. The only files that will show here are the ones that can be read by TEMA. TEMA will ask you to confirm the file name and also the frame rate at which the imaging was done. For an AVI and others where the frame rate is not in the header, you will have to adjust this. This is a listing of the types of files available. Check the most current listing with your TEMA agent. Now pick a point and add it to the head, and then right-click on that point and set the point up. First we will give it a name, and next we will ask it to accept lost points while tracking, because there is a flash in this image and we want it to coast through without being distracted. It will ignore losing the point for up to 3 frames now. For tracking such as this project, TEMA Lite offers you either the quadrant tracker or the correlation tracker. The tracking accuracy is respectively about 1/10 of a pixel and 1 pixel. So if there is a way to use the quadrant or bow tie tracking targets, you should do so. Whereas the correlation tracker finds the image within the purple circle, it does not lock on. You can still move it manually. The quadrant target, however, locks on to what it thinks is the center of the quadrant. If you need to move it, you need to press the Alt key to override this lock. You also need the Alt override if either the correlation or the quadrant tracker gets locked on the very edge of the image and you need to move it. The purple circle will set the target within the outer diameter of the quadrant target placed on the head. Then we will also set the search area. The bigger box is the search area for the first and second frame. If frame-to-frame prediction is used, we can set the smaller box for use in subsequent frames, making sure we check the reduce after second frame box. Frame-to-frame prediction tells the tracker where to expect the target in the next frame based on the motion in the previous frames. Only use this for fairly predictable motion. Making the search area smaller not only saves time, it prevents the tracker from seeing other parts in the image where there may be other similar targets to jump to. Now we will add another scaling point. It has to be in the same plane as the first one, and we will call it the scaling point. We do not need to be careful with the setting because we will only track it in 1 frame manually. Now we can set up the scaling system in a single parallel plane. In other words, all the motion we are measuring will be in 1 plane. We can set the scaling for static using 1 image only, and we can set the time by clicking the clock for the frame that we are in currently. We need to define the 2 points which we know the distance between, in this case 6 inches. Now we can say OK and save our scaling. Alternatively, we could have checked the manual scaling button and set up scaling in terms of inches per pixel. For this calculation we need to divide the horizontal field of view by the horizontal pixel resolution. Now we will save this. The blue navigation buttons are video controls. No tracking is done. The 4 with targets on are the tracking buttons, 2 forward and 2 backward. The inner ones track only 1 frame and only need to be used if automatic tracking is poor due to poor images. This image sequence goes beyond the point where we can track, so go to the last frame you want to track, then go to the Edit Time Properties option and click on the clock to set the end time for the sequence. This will not edit the image, only restrict the visible portion. We could have scaled dynamically. in each image if the motion had not been in one plane, but that would have involved tracking the scaling point in each image. As we do not plan to do that, we will turn that point off and track only the head. Now we will add a diagram in which we will put the head onto the list of tracked points, and we will plot the position. We could have selected velocity or acceleration, and we will plot the motion in the x direction, the horizontal direction. In a similar way, we will set up the timetable or spreadsheet, and again we will put the head on this and use the position. We will plot all values, x, y, and absolute. And now we will move this up so that we can see the OK button and save it. Now we can track, and the plot and the spreadsheet will be generated at the same time. While tracking, you should be careful with the setting for each point. On means the point is tracking. Off means there is no tracking and no data will be recorded. In the off position, previously tracked data will not be overwritten. The Z or sleep mode records a sleep position and will overwrite previously tracked data. If the tracking is lost, as noted on the bottom left of the screen, you can manually place the point. But note that after manually placing it, later automatic tracking will not overwrite this manual placement.